Captains this week.
Hi, I'm Shani Lee. Captains this week takes us to Ipoh Perak to meet David Ho, the founder and managing director of pharmaceuticals company Hovid Berhad. Now, Hovid is listed on the main board of Bursa Malaysia and is one of Malaysia's pioneering pharmaceutical companies. But here's something that few people realize. Hovid traces its roots all the way back to the famous herbal tea Ho Yan Ho. Surprised? Well, David Ho has the story, and that's where we're headed first. Hello, David.
Hello, Shani. How are you?
Hi. Thank you very much for having us here. So, David, this is where it all started. Ho Yan Ho. Now, who doesn't know the famous herbal tea Ho Yan Ho? Tell me, how did this get started?
Well, this is a very, very long story, but it started after the war. After the war, there's, most of the economy is destroyed. So my father, after the war, he started to sell cups of herbal tea in front of his house in the old town of Ipoh. So we had a little herbal tea store. We sold it by the cup in the beginning. Then it became popular, so he got this idea that he should make it into a packet form. So he developed this way of extracting the herbs and putting it into the leaf and packaging in a paper bag, and then he sold it as a herbal tea throughout Ipoh. Then later on he decided to promote it outside of Ipoh, but those days he has a bicycle, so he biked as far as like Penang, KL.
On his bicycle?
On his bicycle, because those days, there are very few cars in the whole of Malaysia. So he even biked as far up as Cameron Highland, sometimes he taking
with a big bag of tea?
Big bag of tea at the back of his bicycle.
And how long would he be away for?
Oh, like a week, he'll be gone for a week.
Looking back at all that now, what do you think it was that made your dad's tea so famous?
I guess, he, of course, when he first started the making of the tea, was quite innovative. I mean, he used an extraction process to extract the essence from the herbs and then blend it with the tea leaf. And then, of course, when he started this tea, he has to promote it himself. So I suppose he was quite good in marketing and sales as well. And I remember he used to do a lot of promotion, he used to get all this film star to do promotion for him in Ipoh. Yeah, all these Chinese opera singers. And they used to come to the factory, and to take a lot of photographs and a lot of publicity. Yeah.
Which qualities of those do you think that you took after the most from your father?
I guess it's more the innovative way that we do things. We encounter a problem, we have to find a way to solving it, and that's how we develop this business.
So all of this came up later on?
Later on. This here used to be a wooden building where we did the extraction in the traditional way, and we dry it outside here.
Oh, under the sun?
Under the sun in the old days. Then of course GMP came in, we couldn't do that anymore. We have to do it in a GMP environment, and this is the process that we have developed.
So pretty much this is where you've grown up all these years, this area?
Yeah, this used to be all grass, and all the outside here is full of racks for drying teas,
So this was the house that you grew up in?
Yes, this is it.
Oh my God.
Now
It's hard to believe.
Hard to believe, you can hardly recognize it, huh?
Yeah, especially with the big factory all at the back there.
Yep.
Which one was your room?
Let me show you. Used to be my room, but now, as you can see, everything has changed.
It's a meeting room now.
Yes.
You stayed in this room until you were 18 and then you went off to study. You went and studied pharmacy.
Yes.
What made you do that?
I started off as a chemist, but I really wasn't that interested in chemistry. So about 1 year later, I asked the professor of pharmacy, can I enroll into the pharmacy school if there's no local who wants to enroll and there are vacancies. And he said, okay, based on that condition, you can try. So I tried and I got in, and that's how I started pharmacy.
Why pharmacy though?
I like doing things, I like mixing things, I like coming up with new things, so pharmacy gives me a lot of opportunities to develop like new tablets, new cosmetic, new toothpaste, whatever. So that's what I like doing.
I hear there's an interesting story about your summer holidays in the third year of university that made you realize your calling.
Well, it was an interesting summer holiday. I met this Chinese guy in third year, and he wanted to sell abalone to Asia. Of course, those days the New Zealand abalone is dark green in color. So when you put it in a can or when you cook it, the soup, the whole abalone is dark green.
Oh my God.
So nobody want to take it, although it actually tastes all right. So my project, he asked me to help him, was can I make it the same color like the Asian or the Chinese?
The skin colored type of
abalone. That was my project. So I thought, okay, we'll give it a try. I never done it before, but so I went to his factory. He's got nothing, no lab, nothing,
What did he have?
Nothing, just a bench. So I said, how am I going to work? No test tube, nothing. So, okay, here's some money, go and buy all this stuff. I got all these things together and we started the experiment. I think within about 4 weeks, we managed to get his abalone the same color like the Asian abalone,
How did you do that? Oh, come on, what's the secret? What happened?
It was actually quite simple. We used the same technique those days as you would do bleaching your hair.
As in hydrogen peroxide?
Yes. So I did it with hydrogen peroxide and using very simple technique. The taste actually is exactly the same like the abalone that you get from China, and today you can see all the abalone in the can from New Zealand are all that color.
So that was a defining moment for you then?
You don't really think a lot about it. There was a project, I was asked to do a job, I did it, and that was it, But it's quite interesting looking back that it was quite innovative in the sense that I was just a student,
Yeah, how old were you?
Oh, maybe 21, 22, like that.
Oh my goodness. I find it amazing how David Ho grew up watching his father build a herbal tea empire from such humble beginnings and then went on to develop this pharmaceutical giant Hovid Berhad. From herbal tea to health supplements, how on earth did David do it? After you came back from New Zealand, I'm sure you had a choice on whether you wanted to continue your father's business or branch out on your own, and yet today it looks as if you've pretty much accomplished both.
in the beginning, I wasn't really interested in the business here because we just had one herbal tea. Then it was very small business. When I came back, we have 25 people. Most of them were manual packing of tea into tea packet. We have one salesman selling the tea into wholesalers, and that's it.
Well, what was probably the biggest challenge in the early years of starting out the pharmaceutical side of the business?
I think pharmaceutical is considered fairly capital intensive. So capital was our biggest challenge, to raise enough capital to have sufficient fund to do the R&D, to produce this, and even the quality control equipment were very expensive. So raising capital was one of our biggest problems.
What would you say are some of the greatest achievements that Hovid has achieved in this time?
I think for pharmaceutical, the achievement, I think the biggest step that we achieved, I think, is quality. Because when we have to compete with imported product, quality was the number one issue. To prove ourselves equal to some of these imported products from Europe, from America, from Japan.
What would you say are some of the milestones that Hovid has achieved today?
Well, I think the fact that we are exporting, say, 60% of our product to about 40 countries.
Wow.
You know, as you can see, our products are all under Hovid brand.
Yeah.
So we sell everything under our own brand, and we are not a contract manufacturer for somebody else. So that, I think, is the difference, you know, because everything we export, everything that we produce is all under our own brand.
Okay, now, final question. Please kill this curiosity for me. Is Hovid an amalgamation of your name, David, and Ho?
You're very clever.
Is it?
Yeah.
David tells me there's so much more to his business than meets the eye, and it's got a name. The Nasdaq-listed Carotech Berhad. In fact, it's such a milestone for him that David's going to take us there right now. So this is Carotech. It's sort of an extension of Hovid, isn't it?
It's a subsidiary of Hovid. Hovid owns 65% of Carotech.
Okay.
But both of these companies are listed, so it's also listed on its own.
On the Nasdaq?
Yes.
Yep. I mean, you already had Hovid, but you had an idea to set this up. What gave you the idea for that?
It was a research project within Hovid. At the time, we were actually buying a lot of carotenes from multinational companies. We have to add it into our multivitamin formulation and so on. But then we realized at the time, palm oil is actually very high concentration of carotene. So we were wondering why there's nobody selling, the carotene from palm oil.
So basically, it was adding another chink into your value chain.
Carotene itself is quite expensive, and palm oil at that time was very, very cheap. So we thought it was a good material. It's already available in Malaysia in huge quantity. It's only the challenge was to develop the technology. So
it made ultimate business sense?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, why don't you show me around?
Okay, shall we go to the laboratory? Start with the laboratory. The carotene, the tocotrienol is in here, and we go through multiple steps.